Hi there, team. I hope you guys are doing well. I am making this lecture as a way to go over briefly with you guys the changes that the College Board has made to the AP test due to quarantine and school closures and things like that because of coronavirus or COVID-19. So I've got everything for each of my AP classes in this one lecture, but I'm going to sort of create two different videos here for each of you. But I want to talk about the date changes, some of the changes to the format of the test, issues of test security, a couple tips about it being open note, open book, and a lot of the information I'm giving you is straight from the College Board website, like copy and pasted. And I'm just going to be reading it off and going over it with you a little bit throughout the lecture here. Okay, for human geography, there's a couple changes. The test has been shifted about a week back to Tuesday, May 12th at 1 p.m. It will be online, like all the tests will be. And basically everybody will be taking it at the same time online. As far as its format goes, I quoted this right from the College Board website. Students will have 25 minutes to read and respond to question 1, and then 5 minutes to upload their responses. After uploading the response to question 1, students will have 15 minutes to read and respond to question 2, with 5 additional minutes to upload their response to question 2. Once the response to question 1 is submitted, they cannot go back to it. Okay, so to kind of break that down, you will have 2 FRQ questions. One of them will be a FRQ that has 2 stimulus, right? 2 maps or 2 charts or 2 pictures compared against each other. And you will be sort of making some sort of geographic assessment, describing, explaining, etc., based on those 2 documents. All right, you will have 25 minutes to respond. That means 25 minutes total to read, analyze, interpret those 2 stimuli, read and understand the question, and complete your response. 25 minutes to do that. And then I imagine when that 25 minutes is up, the computer will cut you off, it'll finish your response, and you will have 5 minutes to upload and turn in your written response, okay? I do not believe it will be in a situation where you'll be able to use that 5 additional minutes to add anything to your essay, right? 25 minutes, you'll get cut off, and then you'll have 5 minutes to click submit or do whatever kind of process they're going to have for you to turn it in. All right. Question 1 with the 2 stimulus FRQ is going to be worth 55% of your score. Okay, from that one question. Question 2 is going to be an FRQ with 1 stimulus. So 1 map or picture or chart or graph or whatever. You will have 15 minutes to read and analyze, interpret that graph in the question, and respond. And then again, 5 minutes to upload your response, whatever that process is. This question will be worth 45% of your exam weight, so a little less, but you need to do well on both questions to pass the test, right? And you guys will. You'll be able to get a couple points at least from each question, I'm positive. Another quote I took from the College Board website kind of breaks down, what an FRQ is. Basically says question 1 and 2 present students with an authentic geographic situation or scenario and assess students' ability to describe, explain, and apply geographic concepts, processes, or models as they analyze geographic patterns, relationships, and outcomes in applied contexts. Question 1 includes 2 stimuli, data, images, and/or maps. Question 2 includes 1 stimuli. Remember that we will only be tested on units 1 through 5. And we'll be doing a little bit of review for each of those before we're all done. But they are Unit 1, Thinking Geographically, the kind of basic background content for most of the course, right? A lot of vocabulary we use throughout the course, scale, the basics, all right? Unit 2, Population and Migration Patterns and Processes, including all the different kind of demographic data, crude birth rate, crude death rate, maternal mortality rate, dependency ratio, all that kind of stuff, as well as migration patterns and processes. So, Lee's model of migration and the gravity model and different reasons and understandings of why and how migration happens and the factors that drive it, right? Demographic transition model and those kinds of things we talked about. Unit 3, cultural patterns and processes, including things like folk and popular culture, religions, ethnicities, and their geographic distribution, and how isolation, interaction, various kinds of diffusion interact with those cultural processes. Unit 4 was political patterns and processes, so the governments of the world, borders and boundaries, and the variations that those can exist in, things like supranational organizations, devolution or balkanization, right? All these different kinds of topics. How religion and ethnicity plays into the stability of states, etc. All right. And then Unit 5, what we are going over in class right now, agriculture and rural land use patterns and processes. And that stuff should be pretty fresh in your head as we finish up this next week or so. We should be able to, or I will be able to get the last lectures I have posted up there and the last of the coursework for agriculture. And then we'll be able to spend the last 3 weeks or so in review. But only those units 1 through 5 will be tested. Units 6 and 7 will not, which again bummed me out because I teach the class a little bit out of order. We spent time going over industrial and economic development patterns and processes. When if we'd done it a different way, we would technically be done, right? We'd have all that agriculture stuff done, but coulda, woulda, shoulda. It doesn't matter now. You do have a little bit of extra information, though, as we covered Unit 7, that might actually help you do a little bit better on that AP test, is how it might work out. You've got a little bit more content knowledge going in than a lot of other kids might, really. Although we'll be a little bit tighter in the time we have, given that we got to finish this one up. All right. There will be a makeup date of June 1st at 11 a.m. So if for whatever reason you're sick or your computer's not working or your internet goes out a day or two before, hopefully you have this information more than a day or two before, but it is possible for you to do a makeup test and still get credit. Okay, so even though the DBQ is now going to be scored out of 10 points, you're still going to receive a score, like an AP score of 1 through 5 on the test, right? So that DBQ score, they will convert to a score of 1 through 5 to give you your score for the AP course overall, right? Most colleges want you to have a 3 or higher to get college credit for the class. The College Board says they don't expect major delays in this and that the usual kind of early mid-July time frame is very likely when you'll get your released scores back, and that the kind of traditional network of college faculty, AP readers, which generally are AP high school teachers, all those people will still be reading and scoring and grading your DBQs. So no changes in sort of how they're scoring it, and they expect no changes in how long it takes them to get you that information back. They go on their website to say that by May 26th, they will send me copies of your responses, right? What you typed up. And we'll see if there's some way that I use those. I mean, we can talk about your answers. Maybe I can give you some kind of insight. I wouldn't maybe go so far as to tell you if I think what score I think you got, but we can talk how well you think you did maybe by May 26th. But that should be maybe even after we're done with school, I think. And then the last part of that part of the College Board website just goes on to sort of reassure students and teachers that they've spoken with lots of colleges and institutions across the country. They understand what's going on. And the College Board says they're confident that those colleges, educations of higher learning will be awarding you credit for passing the test in the class. All right, so that you like the kids that have taken the classes before you will receive college credit for this modified exam if you pass, right? All right, and so to finish up, the last thing we'll talk about is that this is an open note, open book test. All right, and I don't want you guys to get the wrong impression about that. So the College Board has prepared a couple tips, pieces of advice to help you think about taking an open note and open book test and how that should influence your preparation. So I want to go over those with you and comment on a couple of these points they bring up. All right. First thing they say is that an open book, open note exams are not easy. Answering AP exam questions takes more than simply copying information from your notes. Finding facts, formulas, or other information in your notes is only one step to answering an exam question. You have to apply the information in order to complete the task. So if you think about the stuff or we are asked to do in a DBQ, some of it calls for strong content knowledge, and there is an opportunity to earn points for outside information that you could get through a quick Google search or by reviewing your notes. But a lot of what you're having to do is analysis, right? Sourcing a document. It's one thing to be able to look up the name or a couple notes of background about some Ottoman sultan or something you're reading about in one of these documents. It's another thing to be able to comment on how their role as a sultan or Muslim or Ottoman influences their point of view or the purpose they had in writing a certain document, right? Like those are kind of more skill-based things that you're going to be having to look for. So these tests aren't easy. It's not just going to be asking you to recall simple facts, right? Keep that in mind. So having your book, your notes there might not be as helpful as you think, just based on the very nature of the questions and tests you're going to be doing. And so they go on to say you still need to prepare for the exam, right? You should prepare for an open book, open note exam just as you would a traditional AP exam. Having resources available may save you time in memorizing information. However, you still need to know how to apply the information efficiently and correctly. This takes preparation. So again, between now and when we take our tests, we'll be practicing DBQs, FRQs, depending on the class you're in preparation for that, right? Getting the skills part of that down. And also trying to commit as much of that content knowledge to memory as we can, right? Having it in our brains for recall so we are not wasting time searching through books or notes or the internet for information. And that's actually the next point that they bring up, the College Board, and what I think is sort of the biggest balancing act, or the part that really evens out, allowing you to use an open book or open notes on your test. That more materials aren't always better. You'll need to answer multiple questions on your AP exam. In this case, just the one, but it's complex, right? And you'll have limited time to do so. The more time you spend looking for information, the less time you'll have to use it in your answer. So, world history kids, you guys are writing one DBQ, but there's a lot of stuff that goes into that. Human geography kids, you guys are writing two FRQs, a longer one and a shorter one. But there's a bunch of parts that go into that, right? If you have to stop writing or take time before you even start writing to open up a book or do a Google search or start looking through your notes to remind you of what you're looking for exactly, and refresh yourself on certain content, you're going to waste I don't know how much time, right? 5, 10, 15 minutes reading content that we should already be pretty familiar with. That's not to say that it might not be helpful to have certain sections of your book bookmarked, maybe to have your class notes maybe out before you in sections or piles that you can use when you see the topic for the DBQ and the time period it's in. You could quickly try and find that set of notes so you have it as a point of reference here or there. But the less you need to rely on those materials, the better, right? The more you go into that test expecting not to use any of them, I think the better off you'll be and the faster and smoother you'll be able to go. They go on to say you should not copy responses from notes or resources, that they have designed the AP exams knowing you have access to those notes and resources, and so the questions on those exams will ask you to apply concepts from your notes and resources in new and complex ways. Copying what you've done in the past won't produce a satisfactory answer. I think that's a pretty satisfactory explanation right there, right? I mean, you don't want to be just copying information out of your notes about a certain things. You want to be putting that into your own fresh words as it applies to each individual question you're responding to. They say your class notes are better than internet searches, that the internet can be an excellent source of data and facts, but it's also a source of misinformation, diverging opinions, and manipulated content. In the experience of our faculty, students taking open book or open note exams who try to find the answer on the internet often earn fewer points than students who earn their time to apply their own learning to develop a logical response. That makes sense for a number of ways. Again, if you're having to kind of Google and search for everything, your content knowledge isn't very good, right? So you're probably not going to score as well because you don't know as much as the person that can sit there and write it without Googling all that stuff, right? Um, when it comes down to it, a Googled response, using the internet can help you get that information a lot faster, but you've got to make sure that the website you're getting it from is reliable, right? That the information you have is the truth. Although, again, a lot of where you're going to earn the points on a DBQ for world history kids is going to come from certain skills that you're doing, right? Your ability to write a thesis, your ability to use documents as evidence. For my human geography kids, writing an FRQ, again, the expectation is you're going to be doing a little bit more analysis, kind of explaining connections between things, right? Interpreting maps and data to connect that to content and information from the course. So again, having a couple pages in your textbook bookmarked, some class notes, things like that ready and on hand will be helpful, but it's not going to be basic recall and stuff that you're asked to put onto those FRQs, as we've seen. All right. And the last part of what they've got on there is that collaborating with others is not considered acceptable open notes, all right? AP exams give you an opportunity to show your mastery of a subject, not someone else's. It is strictly forbidden to give or receive aid during the exam. Any students found using the work of others, exchanging or sharing information on exam topics, collaborating via online platform, or soliciting tips for problem-solving approaches will be investigated for violating exam security, right? They don't want you, all in a living room together taking the test, right? That will be considered cheating, sharing your answers with each other, and they'll be looking for that, right? If we have a bunch of kids that are all from our class, sharing the same class code or something that have really, really similar responses on their DBQs, and are talking about the same ideas or the same information for context or things like that, they're going to be looking for stuff like that, is what they're saying. All right. And trying to have some repercussions for you. And so the very last thing I think I've got in here are some of the repercussions they posted to their website. So they say security is a big feature of what they're trying to do as a part of these online tests, that they've been designed specifically for at-home administration. Points will not be earned from content that can be found in textbooks or online, whatever that means. All right, I'm sure in some ways it will be. I don't know how you can bring in outside information on a DBQ, for example, that you couldn't find online, right? So some points will be awarded for things you can find online. I'm not sure that's entirely accurate. Each subject's exam will be taken on the same day, at the same time, worldwide. And if you take one of the makeup exams, you will be taking a different test altogether than what your peers took. All right. On test day, students will be required to verify their identity and confirm the work they submitted is their own. I'll get you more information on how exactly you'll be verifying your identity. As I read that right now, I'm not sure exactly how you'll do it. So I'll talk to the counselors and figure out what exactly you'll need to do. We'll use tools to detect plagiarism. So something like turnitin.com or something, right? We're using a range of digital security tools and techniques, including plagiarism detection software and post-administration analytics. Like I said, kind of looking at a classroom's set of DBQs to see if you guys have similar responses and whatnot, to protect the integrity of the exams. In addition, each student's AP teacher will receive copies of the work the student submits to us, enabling teachers to spot inconsistencies with students' known work. And, as a man of honor, I'm going to have to snitch you out if I do see that there's some suspiciously similar responses, right? Suspiciously similar. I imagine all of yours will be a little similar in that, you all took the course with me and covered similar amounts of information, right? Students who violate exam security will receive consequences. And these can be a big deal as you guys are freshmen and sophomores, and um, this might not be your last AP class or last College Board test, and so the repercussions for cheating can be real severe here. Some of the things they bring up. So they say that students whose responses mirror online content or other student submissions will have their scores canceled. Students sharing or receiving exam content or exam responses or engaging in any plans or efforts to provide or gain an unfair advantage will be blocked from testing or their AP scores will be canceled. This includes communications or assistance in person, like I said, a bunch of you in a living room or something, via the internet, social media, FaceTime, whatever it is, right? Social media would probably be the stupid of those, stupidest of those to attempt, right? As it's very public, but um, your honor, your family's honor, and all that is at stake here. You wouldn't roll the dice on this anyway. If we determine that a student gained or provided an unfair advantage on an AP exam, we'll notify their high school so the school can choose to take necessary disciplinary action as appropriate. We'll also provide information about the incident to colleges and other organizations to which the student has already sent any College Board scores, including SAT scores, or to which the student would send scores in the future. That's pretty hardcore. So they will tell the colleges you want to apply to that you're a cheater. All right. They will tell the school that you're a cheater. And one or both of those institutions will take additional action, maybe, against you for cheating. Students who attempt to gain an unfair advantage also may be prohibited from taking a future AP exam, as well as the SAT subject test, or CLEP assessments. A CLEP assessment is, it's a lot like an AP test, basically. It's a way to sort of take a test to get college credit. Under certain circumstances, College Board may inform law enforcement of any incident to determine if prosecution of the test taker or anyone assisting in the test taker in misconduct is warranted. You can kind of think about those parents that got in trouble for helping their kids cheat on an SAT, right? Doing something at that level where you're calling into question the money spent by hundreds or of kids or something might require legal prosecution. Now, I just want to read all that off to you. I don't expect any of you to have any desire or attempt to plagiarize or cheat or anything, but I just want to point out that there are consequences. They do seem severe, and people get caught all the time. Don't be stupid in this test. I think it will be easy if you spend time between now and May 21st or May 12th, depending, preparing. Feel free to email me and let me know any questions you guys got. All right. I believe in you, and we're going to keep preparing for this together. So I'm here for you.